And now it's time for panel discussion, sustainable innovation, the voice of the industry. You will have opportunity to hear some experts in this field. With Bosnia and Herzegovina topping the air pollution lists, the topic of sustainable development becomes more relevant than ever before. Here, what our leaders in sustainable innovation have to say about the future and demands of the market. It's my honor and pleasure to invite on the stage our panelists, Sanela Klaric, PhD in architecture, and Haris Muratovic, brand manager at Porsche BH. This panel will host Anna Jamila, Beha Futures Foundation scholar. Before we start with panel discussion, we will watch one video about Porsche. Enjoy.
Kretanje je val, ritam, vibracija. Kretanje je dokaz života. Kretanje je val, ritam, vibracija. Kretanje je frekvencija, treptaj. Cijeli svemir je u pokretu. Stalno mijenjajući se iz trenutka u trenutak. Svakog sata, dana, mjeseca i godine. Stalna potreba da se krećemo, brže i bezbjednije, je jedini način da pratimo svoju viziju budućnosti i stignemo do cilja. Držeći svoju riječ, osluškujemo sopstvene instinkte, impuls inteligencije, dah prirode. Ponosni na ono što radimo. Idemo naprijed zajedno, jer kretanje je moć.
Sometimes it's good to look into the past, especially to learn from what happened. We have positioned our company well in the market in the past. And I can promise the success story will continue. So, let's go. Fantastic tasks are ahead of us.
Okay, can you hear me properly? Awesome. So a warm welcome from me as well to the audience and above all to our amazing honorable guests, Sanela and Haris. Thank you for being here. I am very well aware how busy all of your schedules are. Regretfully, Gordon could not make it from Banja Luka today, but between the three of us, I think that the discussion will be more than plentiful and more than enjoyable, engaging, and casual. So, firstly, I will make a short introduction in terms of the panel itself. Originally, the panel was supposed to be organized in terms of how the local leaders in different engineering fields have actually approached the industry to become more competitive. But over time, we realized that our leaders from different industries have recognized a very serious and important issue, which is sustainability. And this is something that's really close to all of us, I believe, in Bosnia, especially given the fact that lately we have been topping the ranks in terms of being the most polluted country, Sarajevo and Tuzla especially. So in this regard, the topic, the main theme of the discussion is sustainability as perceived by our innovative leaders in the industry. So firstly, I would like to ask our guests to say a few words to the audience about themselves before we proceed to the formal questions.
So me first, yeah. Hello everybody, my name is Sanela Klaric. I'm architect. I'm also associated professor on International BURCH University. And also I was the chairwoman of Green Building Council in Bosnia and Herzegovina for 8 years. Now I'm advisor in that association. I have also many other roles. Maybe one that is interesting for you is also that I'm a member of the parliament in Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina on behalf of Naša stranka. And I'm also in love with my husband, and I have 2 daughters, 25 and 21 years old. And I'm passionate about sustainability, about circular economy, green politics for the years. And that's why I was recognized also by Global Alliance of the Green New Deal. Those are the members of the parliaments that are working together on the level of the world, and I'm one of the 27 of them in this moment. And I'm glad that I'm here and that I will have a chance to share many of the passions, informations, challenges, but also opportunities in the field of the sustainable architecture.
Hi to everyone. My name is Haris Muratovic. I was born in Banja Luka. I'm 40 years old. Today I feel like a domestic since I'm still a student in a university, BURCH University. I'm a PhD student economy. I'm 16 years old, 16 years in automotive industry. And in the same time, I'm working now in Porsche BH. In the past, I was working for Toyota brand. And the last 5 years, I am observing also the function of president of Association of Importers in automotive industry here in Chamber of the Commerce Federation BH. I'm also married, 3 kids. So I'm really glad that I'm also today here, especially in this environment. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Okay, so I will have to actually ask a specific question to Haris, given the introduction. So when we first started talking about the panel, you mentioned a really interesting anecdote in terms of how you ended up actually working with cars. So would you mind telling the audience, because I think it would be incredibly beautiful to hear.
Okay, I would like to please the Regia to maybe put the pictures on the panel. Yeah. This picture on the right side is actually my grandfather. It's 1935. And he was the second guy, he's in Montenegro, and this is the second guy in Montenegro which had the car in that time. And he was a taxi driver in that time. So it was a Ford T model. And in this picture you can recognize it's me. This is maybe 2 months ago in Neum. So he was driving the car, and I would say that somehow it's naturally that I'm in automotive industry, as you see. But you can see in this picture actually how the automotive industry developing day by day. So less than 100 years, I'm driving electric cars. And I suppose that my grandchild will maybe fly with the cars. I don't know. So I wanted to say that the time is changing. We have to be ready to accept all of the challenges what is in front of us. But I think that we will talk about this topic more. I hope so that you like it, the video. We actually involved so much energy and effort to make this video, to show the audience what we are doing, how we are doing, and it's domestic video. It's recorded here in Bosnian mountains, green yards, and I hope that you like it.
Thank you so much. Okay, so a question for the both of you. Could you each tell us a bit more about the innovative, sustainable projects that you have been involved with?
Okay, I will also ask for video, but without to be muted. So you will see some of the images. That was one very interesting experimental project that we had on the University of BURCH, together with many partners. You will see more than 70 partners were involved in this project. And for me, it was very important that beside the universities, research centers, donors, we had many companies, industries, local industries that are actually joining us to help us to build one experimental building. And also it is interesting if we comparing what Haris was trying to explain to us, that connection with the history and tradition. Also, my research was when I was doing my PhD in Sarajevo and Vienna. I had opportunity also to use all the equipment on the Technical University in Vienna. I actually researched a lot about traditional materials that we have, like wood, sheep wool, straw, clay, and lime. And Bosnia and Herzegovina is very rich of those materials, and some of them are waste. Most of them are actually growing in the nature, on the animals or as a tree or as a plant. They're actually absorbing CO2, and they are carbon neutral because they're absorbing in the same time CO2 and giving us oxygen. And also during the production of those materials, for example, sheep wool insulation, or straw insulation, or wood insulation, or wood constructions, or clay, and all of us knows about Čerpić very much. Those materials are natural. They could be produced here locally. If we're talking about circular economy, they are perfectly actually right in that sense. They are very healthy. There is no toxic material around, of course, if we, during production, don't use that. And also traditionally, we are very much linked to the wood industry, but also to the sheep wool as something that we like to always wear on us. And for the straw, we also use that in the construction, especially in Herzegovina for the roofs. But we learned a lot from that time, and then with the innovative technologies, we made the simulations for those materials in the constructions on that level, in the walls, for example, or the roofs. So by using the innovative technologies and laboratories, we actually prove, and we publish a lot of papers about those natural materials, and we prove that those natural materials are actually perfectly matching these requirements, especially now when we are talking about EU Green Deal strategy that will require since 2050 that we will give up from the coal, from the petrol, and from the gas. And especially here in Tuzla, it's very important to understand that there are ways how we could use that in the future and how we could help those people who are in this coal industry or some other dirty industry, let's say, how they could find the future in the clean industry in the future.
So let me continue that also in automotive industry we have a really new era of automotive industry in the world. In the last 5 years, the producers are involved in new strategies that until 2050 it should be carbon neutral, whole industry. In 3 phases. First phase is a phase of production. So during the production of the automotive of the one car, for example, you will not be able actually to produce any waste. CO2 emissions should be zero. Also, second stage is driving the cars, exploitation, yeah. So in that phase also we need to have zero CO2 emissions. And third phase is also connected with waste, with recycling. The car should be 100% recycled. And we know what will be in the future actually. It will be optimization of the cars on the automotive market. And then we said, yeah, the producers would like to cut this waste, these emissions. And what actually we will do here in Bosnia. And then we said, okay, let us implement internal strategy here in Bosnia, like a Porsche BH company, and let us do something in further. Let us make further steps. We faced with many challenges in that moment. Maybe someone will give up from that process because usually it is low regulations. Usually when you sit down and speak with somebody, they see you like a weird guy. Who is this? And then we said, okay, we have to somehow educate also our society, our politicians, our people who are writing the laws, what should be done, yeah. So we somehow took the leader position in that process. And we started 3 years ago speaking about this, doing this, but then we figure out if people will not touch and feel and drive that cars, we will not do something, because then we are talking about imaginary things. Then we, 2 years ago, wanted to register one electric car, and we couldn't do this, because we didn't have in the guidelines. Can you imagine? You have a car, you cannot register. Then we try to put more attention on that, and somehow we succeed to register the car. Then we figure out, okay, if we have an electric car, we have to charge somewhere. Then we try to put one public charger in Sarajevo. Then we figure out that we need so many papers, like we built this building, for example. You need a permit for this, permit for another thing, urbanistics, requirements, and so on. So, but then we also succeed to do this. Okay, we take hold of the papers, we took everything, and we make a new charger station. And then we figure out that infrastructure is one important topic. And we started 3 years ago, and now we have in Bosnia in total 130 chargers. Probably most of you don't know about this, but there is a reason why we don't know. We need actually to map, to exhibit on the map these stations. But this is also another regulation and so on. And 72 chargers from that 140 is belong to Porsche BH. So we was a leader. We tried to be first to put this, and then others join us, you know. So in the last couple of months, we have 3 new companies which were registered here in Bosnia, and they started actually doing the business with installation of the electric chargers. And now we have, in this year, 70 electric vehicles registered in our market. Even we don't have any stimulation, any incentives for that. So what was the point of something, what I would like to say is that in the mess, you will always find a way how to lead the process. You will not find the way how to lead something if everything is in prosperity, in well-doing environment. So I would say that typically heavy situation, tough situations, bringing the leaders up. And this is my point, and I see many leaders here. I I'm for sure that with the young generation of the people, we will go we will growth actually.
You have mentioned the issues legislation-wise that come with trying to implement sustainable and eco-conscious solutions here. And I know personally that Sanela has a lot of experience with that side of the story as well. But like, I would like to expand this question even further and ask, do you think that our region, Bosnia specifically, is ready for eco-conscious solutions even on a level of the average citizen? So personally, I am very well aware that most people kind of laugh when you bring up these problems, either because they're not too aware how close to home they hit, or they're just very numb to it. So it's always very interesting to me to ask those that do actually make the effort, do actually make that step, how they perceive the common demographic that should, at the end of the day, be the end user of the products.
You know, the young, actually I was 3 years ago in Germany, and I was speaking with one company who are making market intelligence for Volkswagen Group overall in the whole world. And I was also thinking of what will be happen in the market when we will have so many cars. And they said, those cars are not only the cars who are not producing CO2. Those cars are very smart cars. It's possible to connect with any devices. Those cars are very funny when you are driving, you know, you can speak with your car when it's boring. And then I asked, okay, what is the future? He said, since Haris, you have your child will use actually the devices to find a way how to go somewhere from the dot A to dot B. He will not think about, okay, I have a car or I have a, I don't know, tramway station or something like that. No, he will use actually the device and maybe some application to go from, I don't know, Baš Čaršija to Ilidža. And he will got 3 options to do this. So either he will go with the electric car, other he will use the public transport, something recommended. But the automotive industry should be part of that. This is part of the smart city concept. And now is a time to speak here about, of course, challenges what we have in this moment. And I'm for sure that soon we will overcome these challenges what we have. But let us maybe speak about opportunities, especially for the young people. Can you imagine that any car which is produced in Europe has at least one spare part which is produced here in Bosnia? But in a newspaper, in media, you will never heard about this. Every year, 1 billion of Bosnian marks in a spare parts value is exported to European Union. We have plenty of the companies who are doing the business for automotive industry. And there is a big chance also for the young people, especially from engineering sector, IT sector, to use this opportunity to develop some applications, to be part of some international programs in order to use this opportunity and to join in the smart city concept. And this is big chance for Bosnia. You see that day by day IT sector growing in Bosnia, and this is really big chance. And after the IT segment, all of other segments will be pulled by the IT sector. This is the big chance what we see here. Yes, we are not, I would like far away like Croatia, for example, it's neighboring country, but we are not also so far away from them. We also have 150 electric chargers. They have, I don't know, 900, but they have a stimulation, they have incentives. We don't have nothing, but we have something, I would say.
So, I couldn't agree more, što bi rekla moja nana. It's, I think especially, is it working now? Sada. Čusto, I couldn't agree more. I think for young people is really, there is no other alternatives than to really accept that we are now in the transition, and that only if we're working together in very interdisciplinary teams, we could achieve a lot. And if you're talking about the politics, then you will always have some excuse that it's not in our order. And it's very hard to actually put all the ministers together from different sectors to explain that they have to work together. Because the electric cars is not only the questions of the industry or of the mobility, it's the question about environment. It's also a question about economy, like circular economy or local economy, as Haris explained. We could really be part of the markets, and that market is growing, and many other stuff. So in the industry of the civil engineering industry, we also have a lot of opportunities, and to be honest, during this project that I mentioned, but now also we are working on 2 projects about the green certification of the buildings. One is individual house, the other one is kindergarten for the children with special needs. And we want to certificate that those 2 buildings are green. They are smart, but the green is over that. And actually, in this moment, we continue to talk with those members of the businesses and the industries to see how we could provide to achieve all the measures that we have by the local economies or local companies, but in the same time to recognize and to talk with young people to recognize the startups, because we already have a couple of startups that are growing with us on the project with the Student Pavilion. But also we want to show that, for example, for indoor air quality, which is one of the measures that is must in green certification of the buildings, and it's really related to the health, because the indoor air quality is also important. We are spending 90% of our time inside of the buildings. And for that, for example, if we're going to put in each buildings in Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially starting with the schools and kindergarten, these systems for the recuperation and filtration of the air, then this is the chance. We have to talk with the industry and with chambers of commerce in Bosnia and Herzegovina to see how we could actually at least produce parts, maybe not the whole systems. And this is the same if you're talking about wood industry, because we had that very much developed before. We were the biggest exporter of the prefabricated houses in America before the war here. And this industry now is, let's say, they're not developed well. Some of them, yes. But the chances for that market that is growing for the wood construction is really amazing. In this moment, they are finishing 24 floors buildings of wood in Vienna. In Scandinavia, they have a plan to build more than 35 floors buildings of the wood. Why not to have actually the industry from Bosnia, which, because of the tradition, experience, good material here, to actually be on that market. If we're talking about environment, in the same time, it's the question, should we cut the trees? In that sense, this material is growing in the nature. Every second, it grows enough for one house. So imagine if in Bosnia we have enough, because we have more than, I think it's around 60% of our land covered with the forest. So let's say if in 1 minute we could have growing one house, imagine how much houses if we, of course, sustainably managing the forest. So there are many of the opportunities also in the sheep wool, because that's the waste, and those animals, they need us to cut the fibers. And if we're comparing the fibers of the sheep with the fibers of mineral wool, you need to spend a lot of energy to actually melt the minerals to get the fibers. In another way, on the sheeps, you have that growing every year. So you have to just cut, wash on 50 Celsius, and then to use as a fiber. So I could really speak, I could take a lot to speak. I am a professor, just stop me. And I think Haris also needs to say something. But just to say, if we're talking about the cars, because we are all excited about the cars, I had opportunity around 2 years ago. Haris recognized me as somebody who could really help them with the promotion. So I had opportunity to drive the car, an electric car for 7 days in Sarajevo. And, you know, something happens, and this is really something to laugh. I parked the car in Sarajevo in the center. I sent SMS message. I went to the meeting, and when I come back, I find that, I don't know how you called it, like a crow on my wheel. So my SMS didn't pass them somehow, and it was electric car. Imagine, in each cities in the world, electric car is free of charge for the parking, but not in Sarajevo. And it was good to make a photo and then even make a better publicity about that.
This was wonderful to listen to. So how does you have like a follow-up response, or do we move on to the next question? Okay, and we can move on. So I want to diverge the topic a bit more towards the youth. So there's an increasing and consistent influx of new employees for each of the two industries as they are gaining in popularity. So I would like to know, what are some key traits that you would like to see in the young people that are joining your industry, that are actually interested in being part? So as both of you are from like very different specters, but that do work on very relevant issues in the same manner. So I would like to know, what would you like to see from a young person applying to your company, to any company in your industry, and so forth?
I would say it's a term of our education. Me, myself, during my studying days in graduate study and postgraduate study, something what we are missing is this practical working environment and some special labs for preparing the students and in general educated people how to onboard in the company in I would say in the easiest way. Many of the companies have HR departments who are caring about this, how to fit into one company. So then you onboard, then you have a mentor who will lead you through the process. This is the way how, for example, international companies are doing the job. I'm part of that one company, but I know that there are so many companies, especially domestic companies, who are not care about these details. And then we have a situation that not so many people, young people, educated people, I would say talented people, are not finding the place in some companies. One of the reasons for sure is that they don't have a standardized process of onboarding the people, evaluation the people, also somehow to generate the environment for that kind of people, how to develop in one company. But second thing is also that this practical environment and habits, what we are missing in general, yeah. So I would say that this education should be changed a lot, especially here in Bosnia. It should be readapted in the way that, yes, we are learning something what is happening in the United States, in Europe, but also we have to be sure that we belong to our local market, and we have to find a way how to make a joint venture between needs of the market and, of course, the theory what we are doing. So the best way is that we will have some change in the law in a way that people will spend so much time in the companies doing the practical work. Many of the managers would like to have a multi-practical people, you know, who knows everything. But there is a solution how to do this, you know. When you come into one company, you have to go through the different processes, through the different departments. Why? Because then you will have a whole picture how this company is functioning. I had a positive impression with my first company. I just chat with my professor, Sanela Klaric, about this. When I started working in one forest company, actually wood producing company, they bring us in the forest and they said, this is the tree, this is beech wood, this is oak wood, this is arch. And from that forest, we are making the chairs and tables, and I went through the whole process. I was working in the factory as well. But there are not so many companies who are doing like this. I think that startup for the young people and for joining together is also one big possibility and opportunity, that you actually will bring some innovative approach to different companies. Can you imagine how many conservative companies we have? When the people say, yeah, you have to do everything what I'm say to you because I'm your boss, you know, and you have to know everything what I need. They don't think that they have to have talented people who are specialized for different things. But can you imagine that here from Bosnia, you can also working in some international projects as well, and being part of big picture. So this is also one opportunity for the young people. I have also different impressions with the people who came into our company to do some small practical work. Ability to work and readiness to work and readiness to learn is not on the high level, I have to be honest. The people who are finished the university think that they are smartest in the world. When I was studying, I'm doing all the time some jobs, you know. I was waiter, I was barman, I trade something. I always try to find the way how to work something, you know, and to be on reality. Then when I finished university, it was much easier for me to go, I don't know, to go and purchase some food for my colleagues in the company, to do some work like a driver, to do another things what they need. And I said to myself, I need 5 years to learn. This is something what I set up in my head. So 5 years I will learn. I will use opportunity to get the knowledge from the people around which I'm surrounded. And after the 5 years, my value is growth. Then I could compete and said, okay, I need now big salary, I need to do another job, or I'm ready to do another job. Either you will give me opportunity or I will change the company. So I'm trying to let you know how is in reality. Maybe we can speak here about some theoretical or empirical case studies, but no, this is reality, not only in Bosnia, in the whole Europe. You will find many people who are studying and working in the same time. After they finished primary school as well, they start working something. I was in Italy last week, and I meet the guy who is leading one hotel. His father is owner, but he is manager. He was 16 years old. He was perfect in a way of behaving to the customer, in a way of handling the reservation for the hotel, in the way of hospitality to preparing the breakfast. Can you imagine? Only 16 years old. I didn't got that impression from the hotel from 4 or 5 stars, like I had got impression from that guy. So I would say that we have to start on time to work and in the same time to learn. And then the quality of both of that side will come on the long term, of course.
So I already forgot what Anna asked, but
Sorry.
I will do my best. So maybe, Haris, I should be first because I'm older than you. So I think that the biggest challenge for all of you young people is the environment that you are in. So Bosnia and Herzegovina is very, the most beautiful country in the world, but the system that we have doesn't work and doesn't help you, which is good in one way because you have to be creative to survive. And the other way, you also, it's very slippery, so you could really be very easily, like absorb in some that is not by the law. Because this country, with the all regulations, sometimes putting you in the systems to not work by the law, but against law. So it's not easy, but from the other side, I think this creative part is something that leaders need to have. And also the way that Haris was trying to explain, learning by doing is also the way what I'm trying to do with my students, to actually really to see, to be on the site, to have a lot of practices, to go to some industries, to meet and to see how they're doing, to be on the site. And also, it is something that you have to think outside of the box. You have to be very brave. So there are many opportunities that you could work in some institutions, which is the most easiest way. They will not use your brain very much. They will tell you what to do. If you go to some big companies, private ones, then it's really questions, do you have the managers that will give you a space and motivate you to really bring the best, or you will have, no, you will not have a luck. But from the other side, it's the question of also for me, can you start your own job? Can you have your startup? How to do that? On my university, on BURCH University, we have a hub. We are really working with the students, with the very good professors about entrepreneurship. So even though our students on the architecture or economy or maybe on civil engineering, you have to have the lessons or classes about leadership, entrepreneurship. And this is really good because then also us who are doing a lot about some interdisciplinarity or some innovations, they could get some chances. And they already have really good companies around that actually was opened by our students. And also what I would love to give you as the advice, people, you have to learn how to write the projects. There are many opportunities if we're talking about the funds. And especially if we're talking about EU Green Deal. Institutions are not ready to apply. And in this moment, we have 9 billion reserved for only, I think, 6 countries in West Balkan. 9 billion. I'm not expecting that our institutions will actually even work on that to apply on some projects. But you should do that. And imagine how much other funds we will have in 2050 when we're going to stop and when we're going to actually have carbon neutral life. So you have 30 years in front of you. And in that sense, you have a lot of opportunities if you know how to write the projects. But in the same time, you also in parallel way need to work with the politicians to change the strategies and regulations because you have to be in line with that strategies. Which is in favor of you, our politicians are ready really to sign the contracts with the EU, to even write the strategies which are in line with the EU, but the implementation, the problem. So maybe in some sectors you already have strategies in line with the EU. Check that. And then use that opportunity to write a project, to apply, to find a way how the institutions, maybe on local level, we understand you better, and then help you to apply and to absorb that money, because money exists. Not the local one. And I will also tell you that this country is a very rich country. The only problem is that we have very, let's say, politicians that are not responsible at all. And they are really taking a lot of money from the citizens in their own pocket. But this is also up to you guys. You have to change that. Nobody will change. Only young people doesn't have really the obligations to children or staff. Only young people could change, and really you could flow to the change. It's not really easy for me, because if somebody will tell me or blackmail me for my children, I will be really in the position maybe to not be so aggressive like maybe I'm now in this moment as a politician. But you as a young people, you're the ones really who have to recognize what you want, fight for that what you want, and change that. Otherwise, in this moment, they will steal all the nature from us, all the nature resources, forest, water, you know how we fight on the waters and the stuff. So you have to join us to fight for that, because this is your future. If you want to have a future in Bosnia and Herzegovina, if you want the easiest way, I'm sure that you will succeed also abroad. But it's up to you to make a decision. Is this the place you want, or you will go further? And this is also, it could be a question for me. I decided to stay. And I think, by my experience, you really have a lot of chance to change and to stay here and to show that this could be much, much better country than Switzerland.
And I have just... And I just have a small follow-up question for Sanela before we move on to the QA. So, especially as an associated professor at one of the universities that actually do put in the effort to kind of permit students to explore the industry, to explore the opportunities that they have beyond just studying what's in the books, that does actually make the effort to adjust the curriculum to follow the more modern trends. What is an advice you would give to the state universities or people that are attempting to get in contact with state universities who at least seem to be entirely fine with using books from the 80s and 90s, using the curriculum that seemed to have worked in the 80s, and kind of position themselves, teachers included, as my subject is as is. You can pursue the industry once you graduate.
But I think again, it's up to you. You know, you have to actually force your professors to change, because I think that the job of the professors change dramatically. Before, you had books, and you are the ones who are showing the students all those slides and talking to them, you know, and even ask them to write. But now, if, for example, you know in advance that on the curriculum, the next subject is the green city, for example, you will put that in the internet, and you will prepare yourself in 30 minutes. So many informations about green city. So when I come in front of you, it's really important to teach you how to find and recognize good informations on the internet. The informations with the arguments, you know, not the fake news, not the fake informations. I think this is my job now. It's not really too much to give you slides, you know, but give you experience that I have and talk to you. It's not really me staying in front of you and showing the slides for 45 minutes without any of your interactions. It's very important to have interaction. It's not easy, I have to say. Some of the young people don't want to talk too much, especially if you start at 9 in the morning. It's not easy to motivate you to ask or to discuss. But if we have the ability to open you and to give you a floor to ask, you have such a great questions. And from that discussions, actually something that also I could enjoy. So it's really up to you to check the law about higher education, as Haris already talked with me about that experience that he had. So see your rights, what are the rights you have, and how the professors needs to really tell you what is he going to do for that semester with you. And then to use that opportunities also to force your professors to change, as Anna said. really, in my case, I think it's not possible anymore for any of the professors to have slides that are 10 years old. You are always really changing, because in any of the sectors, changes are so dramatic, so fast, and you really have to be in line with all that changes. So I think it's also, and probably some of you will be very soon teachers or even professors, my advice to you is really to talk with people and to help them to understand from all of those like enormous number of the informations, what are the informations that are really reliable.
If I can add something, since I'm still a student, I have a right. I hope so. The best way how to learn something and to bring added value of that is case studies. What is happening abroad, trying to implement here in Bosnia, through the case studies, through the teamwork with the groups, different groups, and let us make how it will work here in Bosnia. Okay, we have challenges, we know that, but how to overcome this? And I would say that in general, the task of any professor or educator is to pull knowledge from you. You have a knowledge, I'm sure. Somebody have to initiate you to pull your knowledge and to bring it on the air and to use it. This is the best arm what we have, the knowledge. When you go abroad, you will find many, many Bosnian people who are succeed in their work. They have companies. They are great in their job. Why? Because behavior, business environment and behavior in those countries is ready for them, yeah. But as Professor said, nobody will do this if we don't do this, if actually you do this. Our fathers and our parents make it that we survive here. We started to change something, Professor, me and maybe my generation, but you have to be generation who will win, who will bring it prosperity here. I would say that. So thank you.
And if I may add, it's sorry if you want to applaud, please.
Okay.
I just would like to add, because I think Anna mentioned that this practical work, it's something that maybe on International BURCH University we already have in the curriculum, you must have. But if you don't have on your university, make it to have. Go and knock on the door on some industry and say, I want to volunteer for 1 month. Nobody will close the door to you. If they close you, you don't belong to them. So go and knock and say, I want to, you know, and people will give you the chance. Believe me, there are so many honest and good people that are leading a good industry in Bosnia, local industry or businesses. And if you have a chance to knock and they open your door, maybe you will stay forever. But if not, you will learn a lot and then continue in much, much better manner. So knock on the door.
Thank you so much. This discussion was immensely valuable to me and I believe to all of the audience. So now I would like to open the QA session since we do have about 10 more minutes. Okay, let's see all those hands. 4. Okay, let's start. First to the right, my right.
May I call finally? Hello everyone. Is it working? Hello everyone, my name is Basil Bosniak and I'm also from BURCH, like our speakers. I actually have a question for Haris. It's regarding the stimulation for e-cars. Because I noticed a small problem about it. For example, I'll give you an example actually. If you own a car that has that sticker, you know, that says like Euro 5, the fees for it each year are larger than for cars that have those stickers Euro 2 or 3, you know. So my question is, are the fees high as well for the e-cars actually each year?
Your question was with the sticker what they are putting after you register the car.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very good question. In the last 2 years, we face those kind of problems. When if you, for example, have electric cars which does not have any pollution, actually, it's zero emissions from that cars, they are putting you the sticker like you have 130 grams per kilometer. And what we done regarding this, we somehow wanted to change that, and we make the initiative to the Ministry of Transportation to change this. They also react, but then, you know, we have a different levels in a country. We have Federation, Republic of Srpska, and they actually stopped putting these stickers, not because of that initiative, because they don't have a regulation actually how that sticker should look like, you know. They are working on that, and they will, in the meantime, I think that they will put some sticker which will be eco sticker, something like that. What we will need actually when they would like to stimulate driving the electric cars, for example, for free parking places, for not paying the toll for the highway or something like that. But this is really good question. It was very weird for us when they put the sticker like we have a pollution. Number 6, yeah, unfortunately. No logic, but...
The fees are the same for the e-cars and basic car.
Yeah, in this moment is the same. But for example, in those cars which we driven from Sarajevo, like a new one registered, they didn't put anything. So no sticker now in this moment on the. This is okay. It's accepted from our side.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there were 3 more hands. Okay, third one. Okay, so Belma, I think, yeah? Did I recognize her? Yes, I did.
Okay, my question is to both of you. We are in a really dire need of drastic changes in the society, both with the measures, infrastructures, mentality, everything needs to be changed in order for us to follow EU plans and make Bosnia carbon-free in 30 years. 30 years is a really short period for us to be able to follow EU trends. So my question for you both, considering that Sanela is in the government and the Porsche has these initiatives to empower people. So my question for you is, do you have any plans on how to re-educate people and how to actually make young people want to write the policies for green change and want to actually do something here?
So there are two ways how to do. I'm only 3 years in the parliament now, and this is my first mandate. And it took a lot of time for me to monitor and to also mark who are the people with whom you could work, you know, because many of people there do not have interest to change. And then from the other side, there is another question, because you have a huge interest of the donors to come with the projects and write for us, because for them it means money. They don't know us so much, and they usually coming with copy-paste. And then there is another way, because we don't have responsible politicians, they are even ready to accept some very ambitious plans, because they don't care. for the implementation, they have a problems with monitoring and evaluations. So I think for me, which is something that I'm really fighting a lot, it's about monitoring and evaluation. Because in this moment, I find out that we have millions of the projects that we spent, not by grant, but taking the laws from World Bank, for example. And then, once when we invest 10 millions for irrigation system in some local community, that doesn't work, and nobody cares. So when I asked, even the World Bank don't bringing me the answers on time. So it's really about implementation. So it's not really, I think that our regulations are quite good, and even the strategies, because we have this foreigner writing for us with some experience, and okay, they are in line. Let's say maybe they are not adjust to us very well, but they are in line. But the implementation is a problem, and this is something where you guys could talk about that. Give me the information that I could talk about that. I think we also lost the communications between the politicians and citizens, because I think we get used that the politicians doesn't speak, they are somewhere up, they are not reachable. But the job of the politician is to talk with you, to actually talk what you tell me. I should talk about that in the parliament. I have to have your words there. It's not easy job. I will tell you about River Sanica. I had a lot of pressures, but now we win. So we didn't win completely, but we are winning, you know, step by step. So it's really important that we have that both-way communication and trust, because there are some politicians who really wants to do something. You have to recognize them, and you have to actually give them the chance to work with you. From the other side, I'm also involved in many projects when I'm going to the field to talk with the people. For example, I had a project about empowerment of the women in rural places for the entrepreneurship. And it's really amazing how much those women really need, because I'm from Sarajevo. In Sarajevo, everything is there. But if you go in some small places in Kladanj or Sanski Most, then you could find really very good women, very honest ones, maybe not educated, but they want their children to stay. And they're finding a way how to stay. And those actually, I think, bottom up and up-down approach is important. And it's something that we have to create. It's not really only up to the politicians. They are, but it's a lot up to you. And I hope I answered your question. And please, I'm really the ones with whom you could talk about any of the issues, even on the local level, that we have to talk about.
If I can add something. The way how we behave, actually, I will present the way how we behave. If we react in some of these changes, what we need, only as a Porsche BH company, then somebody will say, oh, this is their interest. Then we figure out we have to fight not only for us, but for all other importers. That's the reason why we founded association, where the whole problems are put on the table, and then we say, okay, those are priorities, and those are something what we are agreed, and those is something what we will lobbying for. And I have one maybe small tips how you should behave. I agree with Professor. There are hundreds of projects, for example, for e-mobility now in Bosnia. And there are so many people who are writing what should be done, what we will need to do, when we will do this, and so on and so on. And can you imagine, you have in the same time in Sarajevo 5 projects regarding e-mobility. But when you watching on the field, nothing happening. There's no touch and feel things which you can see that something is done. That's the reason why we take the leading position in that, and we show by our example, okay, we will put 70 chargers on the in whole Bosnia. We will register the car. Doesn't matter how much it will cost. We will pay, I don't know, something. And this is something what we are realized as investment. not as a cost. Because we know that soon or later, those cars will be our, not the future, it will be current situation. And there is some small tip how to put the politicians or administrative people from municipalities out of their comfort zone, you know. One technique is named from the sales perspective. Features, advantages, and benefits. When you present any product, for example, this table, this is the table. Yeah, this is the table. The advantage of this table is that it's flying, it's very nice, it's shaped very well on the surface, and then on the outcome is the benefits. So the benefits is that we have here, we are flying, we are lighting together with these tables, it's visual and so on. So when you explain the benefits of any initiative, what you have, and that benefits is affected as many people as it needed, then the people will accept it. Otherwise, they will see this as an interest of the company or something like that. And when we are talking about this car, we are really always try to find the words, what kind of benefits we have, if we have those cars on the market and so on and so on. And this is the way what anything can go through the barriers, led by the benefits.
And I will just add, just not try to work with others, try to make good networks. Because, for example, with the innovations, you're always the crazy ones, you know, because you're trying to do something that, you know, is very risky or something. And I remember when I was talking about sheep wool, everybody knows Sanela sheep wool. But when I, on the project, have 50 companies and 20 donors and 20 universities, it's not Sanela crazy. All of them are crazy. And this is maybe the answer how you should start if you're going to do something with the innovation.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful. Okay, so since we're short in time and it's also time for lunch, and I'm sure everyone is absolutely starving, I would just like to ask for your permission for the remaining questions that the audience may have to be forwarded to you. So either via LinkedIn or via email or through the organizing committee of the Futures Leader Summit. That's fine.
Or it could be shorter.
Yeah. Maybe I think that there is one more student who would like to ask.
Hello, dear panelists.
We can finish.
My name is Hamza. I come from Sarajevo, and I have it's short question for Mr. Haris. Have you thought of maybe investing in renewable energy technology? Because you mentioned that there are 100 and something chargers across our country, and I suppose that they are connected to the grid, and the electricity from the grid is mostly from coal and thermal power plants. Thank you.
It's a great question, really. Actually, we have a company in our portfolio. It's a Moon GmbH. It's Austrian company, which is part of our Porsche holding group. And those companies are also providing electric chargers. It's our products. The photo solar panels as well. The batteries for the lagering the electric energy. And this will be something what we will offer for sure together with the car, because this is big potential for us. Thank you for that question.
And that's a wrap. So Valeria, please conclude this beautiful presentation of
Before Valerie, I just would like to send regards to Biba. She is sick, but she is, as I understand, the student architect, only one here, and this is the book for Biba.
Thank you, Sanela. Thank you, Haris, and thank you, Anna. I definitely enjoy, and I can see you enjoy it too.